Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to see you on My Design Life. This is Kylie, Miss K official. We have been working with her the last 2 weeks as we've been learning about confidence, and this week focusing on manifesting, which I was really excited to dive into. Last week, oh my God, confidence. If you guys have not seen what I went through last week, please check out what's been going on the My Design Life Instagram. It was so powerful, Kylie. Oh my gosh. We could spend the whole time there, and I don't want to do that. I definitely want to dive into manifesting, but I got to say, answering questions for 5 days sounds mundane and like simplistic, and the power that came from that, and just like knowing what to ask us, Kylie, like it was so transformational. I could not believe it. So guys, like check that out because it's just like my life has literally changed in 5 days. Like, thank you so much. And so this week you brought us into manifesting. We started on Monday, and I would love for you to just kind of dive into, again, what that means. I think it's so misunderstood, and how do we do it? And just kind of give us that overview, if you wouldn't mind.
So the thing is, one thing I actually want to say that, like, we mentioned that you just said, is that like the questions I gave you and even the principles that I'm going to talk through about manifestation, like they are so simple. Like honestly, it's not anything complex or anything like magic that you've never heard of before, but it's not easy. Like it's not easy to dive into those questions or to go even through the process of manifestation, but it's really simple.
Yeah.
So manifestation essentially is bringing something, either a desire that you have, any thought that you have, into immediate reality. And it works upon the principle that we are basically co-creators of our own reality. So that we have all the power and the responsibility on us to create the life that we've always wanted and the life we've always dreamed of. And a lot of times I think where the thought or the mistake comes in is kind of when The Secret was published. Everyone had this big like, oh my goodness, I'm in love with manifestation, like I'm going to be a manifesting expert. But all that The Secret actually taught you was like the law of attraction, which was basically like attracts like. So think the right thoughts, feel the right feels, and you'll bring that into like your life. When in actual fact, that isn't the entirety of manifestation. There's like 12 universal laws by which we operate with, which also the principle of manifestation operates with if you want to have any successful manifestation. And I think we could definitely one day do an episode on that. I think it'd be amazing to dive into like what the 12 universal laws are. But also just knowing that your thoughts and emotions alone don't have that much power. Because if you look at your thoughts, we think about, I think this is a statistic, I always mess up with that word, statistic, is that we think about 80,000 thoughts a day.
Yeah, I think it's
Like,
actually higher than that. I think it's close to like over 100,000, and we only get like 20%. We actually are only conscious of 20% of what's actually happening.
exactly.
They say it's like an iceberg. So the amount that you see of the iceberg is if you think of it that way, that's the only part of your thoughts you're conscious of. But all that's underneath, that's actually what we're all thinking. Like there's so much more going on that in our own brain that we're not even aware of, because our brain could not handle all of those thoughts at once. I actually read this that literally, because of the power that goes through your brain neurons, I know I'm getting off track, but your brain would physically explode. Like this is based in science, that it could not handle all of it being in that one area at once to be conscious of it. Like it would literally explode. Like we can't.
Exactly. So based on that, only 20% of like the thoughts that we are actually conscious of, only 20% of them are actually true.
Mm-hmm.
So the other 80% you think is literally either because you're feeling overwhelmed, you're anxious, all these little gremlins are popping up in your life, which are usually like your limiting beliefs. So those are the things that a limiting belief is anything that breaks your confidence. If you want the easiest, most simplest example, it's anything where you believe that I can't, or I'm not good enough, or that can never be me because.
And I think that's so hard for people to actually accept sometimes, because we believe our thoughts. So you go, well, if I can't do it, I can't do it. Like, well, this is making me, this is breaking my confidence, but it's breaking my confidence because I'm not this person. I'm not that thing. And it's so hard to understand that our thoughts are not reality. Like the things we think, and I always bring up the same example. I think it's easy for people to understand is that you hear that it's a late night, you're at home by yourself, you hear this tap on the window and you're like, that's an axe murderer, I'm going to die. Okay, like that's your thoughts. Okay, that doesn't mean there's an axe murderer outside your window. And then when you have the courage to go look, you're like, oh, it was a branch from the tree and it was tapping my window. So like your thoughts are, in that simple example, your thoughts are not reality. And another example I love to give, because again, I think it's so easy to understand, is that when you're watching a movie and you know it's a movie, you're in a theater, all those things are happening, and you start crying at some sad scene, your body doesn't know the difference between reality and not reality, but your thoughts of watching and perception of that was able to bring on a physical reaction, which was crying, even though you know it's not real. Like those thoughts, guys, like they're so powerful in like helping us do amazing things, but also misleading us if we don't recognize them for what they are.
So literally, like you touch on something so important where like our mind literally doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not. And that's basically the principle of manifestation. So if we then look at the entirety of the manifestation equation, it's basically your thoughts plus your emotions plus action plus faith equals successful manifestation. But I've kind of altered this like whole equation to say that yes, it's your thoughts and your emotions, but plus confidence. And plus action plus faith equals successful manifestation, because confidence is faith that you have within yourself. So, actually, once you have your thoughts and emotions aligned, because especially your emotions are so, so critical, because our emotions are literally the energetic force within us, and everything in the universe operates on the basis of energy. So you can only successfully manifest if you're operating in an energetic alignment that's going to bring your goal into that reality.
And I want to throw in there, sorry to interrupt, but I know, again, when we get into this, guys, like there can be such a resistance for maybe those of us who are in this kind of like very logical space. And I think when, again, coming from California, when you start to hear like energy and this, like there's so many different stereotypes of people that come through where it's like, well, everything's the universe, it's just energy. And you're like, oh my God, like there's some real things that happen. But energy in and of itself, just to remind you all, this is a very scientific principle. This is something that happens. Just because you can't see the energy coming into your light bulb, it does happen and it turns on. So this is actually a measurable, real thing, right? This is something that we admit. This is something that happens. Frequencies, all of those things are measurable things. Your brain waves are all real things. So when she starts to talk about energies, I mean, it's so important for us to remember that this isn't just a lofty term that she's using. There is a real principle behind this.
And also the work by Dr. Joe Dispenza, like if you want more of the scientific behind it, like I've studied his work and it's absolutely incredible. Like one of the books I recommend for you to first read is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
One of my favorites.
Yeah, exactly. He talks about manifestation, but he gives you the science behind it.
Yes.
So, and then if we look at the next principle of the manifestation equation, is then confidence. And confidence is basically the faith that you have within your own ability, your own knowledge, your own self-efficacy to do something, but then also the faith that you'll have in the universe to do something. The faith that you have in the universe that this is going to occur in my reality, and that I am equipped enough to take the action to do so. And then it's basically also taking small action steps every day. It's the challenge that I'm taking you with this 5-day challenge is literally me breaking down the manifestation equation for you. Because then we need to start taking the actions every day that's going to get us one step closer to our goal. Because the big thing with manifesting is a mistake that people make is they think it's a very passive process. Once again, if I think the right things and feel the right feels, like this will come into my reality. Exactly. Like, just like let me light all my candles and whatnot, and this will occur in my life. But what's so beautiful about manifestation is it actually encourages you. I think it's such a life guiding principle because it encourages you to actually start taking action towards your goals. So doing the things that you've always been afraid to do because you know that it's going to work out for your highest good. And you know that this is going to put you on the right path. And manifesting is not only for your spiritual woo people. Like it's even based on the principles of religion as well, if we look back at it. Yeah. I think that's a topic all in itself, but a lot of times religious people think that, oh my word, manifesting is just like for the woo. But it's not. The principles are exactly, there's so many universal laws that I teach my clients and they can actually reference it back to biblical chapters and be like, you know what, this was actually said in the Bible. This was in script.
It's it praying and believing it, right? And there's lots of statements like, then it is done, right? Like, and having the mindset that it is done, releasing the worry, right? All of these things where wherever you are in your belief system or whatnot. And I love that you really amplify that, is that it's a principle. It's a guiding principle. It's nothing that agrees or negates any particular like religious belief or spiritual thought process. It's something that happens with or without you, and whether or not you decide to participate, right? And then it, like Kylie said, it's not passive. The work I've had to do these last couple of days has not been passive. I have to really be clear about what I want. It's not generalized. It's not the oh, I want a new car, or it's like, and if that is the decision or the thing you're trying to manifest, it's more about how specific. Like, you have to really, really understand exactly what it is that you're wanting. And then it's an active engagement. Like, I very aware of the process I'm in this week and what I'm trying to manifest, because I made a decision on a Monday with your guidance to go, this is the thing I'm focusing on this week. And so while it may not be an action item in my daily to-do list, the way like if I'm trying to manifest getting the laundry done, well, that's an action item. I can write down, do laundry. But this kind of thing that I'm working towards, which for me right now is actually a level of clarity in something, I am very aware in the back of my head that this is the goal this week. And that alone starts to make my brain like look for the opportunities, look for the things that's happening, which I probably would not be doing otherwise, because I didn't make the decision, right? I didn't do it. And again, you know, guys, I always love my examples. And so I really equate this to the idea when, you know, I say this for Californians, we're always driving everywhere. So you've decided to look for a car. You've decided, like, I think I'm going to buy, you know, I don't know what cars are popular in the US right now because I'm in Prague, but, you know, you're looking for the latest Prius or whatever. And you start to look at the brochures, you start to do those things and you're thinking about it, but then you go about your day and all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, there's that Prius. Oh, there's that same Prius. There's that same Prius. The world didn't change. Like those Priuses were always there, but you started to teach your brain and your focus of what's important right now. So of those 100,000 thoughts, you were like, hey brain, of those 20 that you show me, like this Prius is kind of important. Your brain's like, cool. Like, I'll make sure that you start to notice those Priuses. And so now you go on, you're like, Priuses are everywhere. You're like, girl, those were always there. You just started to train your brain what to look for. And that's the thing. Like, maybe the word manifest, like, again, I think it has such a misguided idea of what's coming towards us, but it is like about focus. It's about choice. It's about goals. You know, if you want to use that word, it's a step process that doesn't necessitate magic or candles. It really is about a choice. Like, am I going to choose to try to bring this into my life this week? And I love that you said you do it weekly, right?
I do it every week. Like, I've actually tried. The first time I did it was so incredible. And I was like, okay, the next week, let me just take a break. And I realized how lost I felt. Like, I didn't feel aligned, because the thing is, like, especially when you mentioned now about the cars and you see more of that, the biggest thing as well as manifesting is what you focus on becomes your reality. And that's just a general truth. So if I look at myself, like, I had such bad anxiety where I'm like, okay, but how am I going to make a success in my future? Where am I going to go? Like, what is my next big step? Because I've always like kind of had my life planned out when I was studying at varsity. So I'm like, okay, now what is my next big step going to be? Like, I don't know.
No one handed me a synopsis for this for these next couple of months. What's going on?
Exactly. And by actually just like applying myself to manifesting and becoming like a manifestation expert, I literally took away my anxiety, because I realized, you know, I can decide what my future is going to look like. I can embody that version. Like, and one of the biggest questions you can ask yourself then, when, especially with manifesting, when you want to know, like, how am I going to embody these emotions? Ask yourself, like, let's, for example, you want to create a successful business. And the question you'd ask yourself is, what would the CEO version of me act like? Yeah. How would she feel? What would she do today? What would her thoughts be? And that's where you start living up to those versions of yourself that you aspire towards, that you're literally drawing yourself closer to that goal. Because the big thing with us as humans is we think that everything is just outside of our reach. We put everything in a very passive manner. You know, I'm going to set a goal and one day I'll reach it. As if you'll just one day wake up and you're going to have like $1,000 in your bank account, random example.
Yeah.
Instead of knowing that I could, within this week, take the action to start putting myself out there, start reaching more clients, start advertising my services, start providing value to the world. And literally by tomorrow, I'll have that, by the end of the week, I'll have that $1,000. You know, we kind of expect it's gonna one day happen instead of realizing that I can make it happen right now. And why should we also, I mean, life is so short. It's so cliche to say, but life is so short. Why should we?
Cliche, but it's true.
Exactly. Why should we wait for that one day to feel those emotions? To one day live in euphoria, to one day feel successful, to one day be content, to one day be happy. Why can't we start embodying these emotions as well? Because life is not designed for us to just completely suffer and live in anxiety and depression and fear the whole time.
No. And see, and I love this because anyone who's been following me long enough knows the thing I live by is that someday doesn't exist. We have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. There is no someday on your calendar. So when you put something there to say someday, you were basically counting it off as never, because it does not exist. When you want something to be real, you need to work within the confines of reality. And that's what I feel about this manifesting, is that it's easy for us to look at it and think that it's so out here, but because it's a principle, because it's something that actually has a function and a rule and a law through it, it works in a way within reality. So you have to start choosing, like, today is the day I will take this action and think about what I want. Today is the day I'll get specific and understand it. You know, I've worked with clients in such a way where they're like, well, I just know I need to get this much more money. And something as simple as like, well, how many clients does that equal to? And I'm like, oh, I never thought of that. Well, how do you know what you're aiming for? If you know, like, okay, well, that amount's only 3 more clients. Girl, our goal this week is to get 3 clients then, isn't it? Now you go, well, what do I need to do to get 3? And then you start making those phone calls. And then the path unveils itself by simply choosing to focus on it and get clear on it, right? Like it's so simple yet so hard, because these aren't the principles we're taught in school. These aren't the principles we're taught in, you know, business work or really anything. There is to understand that we need to get specific, that our brain works with us when we guide it, you know, and there's just, I love all that. I love that. It's really clear. So do you want to walk through, as we're wrapping up here, like what, how do we get started? You know, if you guys been following on the Instagram, My Design Life, you've seen some, but Kylie, for anyone who's looking now, let's tell them how to get started and do this.
I think literally by taking the equation, so get a pen and paper right now if you've not been taking notes already. And write down the equation that thoughts plus emotions plus confidence plus action plus faith equals successful manifestation. So if you then had to break down this equation for yourself, at the equals successful manifestation part, write down what it is that you desire. So to sign my first client or to gain 3 clients this week, I'm going to use your example. Then start reverse engineering it. So start with actually thinking, okay, what are the thoughts that pop up for myself when I say this? And if they're negative, it's fine, because then you can start tackling them down. Yeah. Start asking yourself, why am I feeling like this? What experience have I had in the past that's allowing me to feel like this? Because then you can start tackling your belief systems regarding that. And then under that, write down what are the thoughts that I need to start thinking to gain these clients. Like, for example, I'm actually really good at what I do. I can provide so much value to people's lives. You know, I have all the strategy in the world that I can help people with. Whatever thoughts and lines that you know will help you reach that goal. And then the next step, what emotions actually surface for you knowing that you can reach that goal? Okay, I feel successful. I feel excited. I feel aligned. I feel content. I feel peaceful. I feel freedom. Whatever emotion that you know that represents that goal to you. Then if we look at the fact of confidence, it actually means having faith in yourself. So know that I need to have faith to be able to achieve this. Like, I can do this. You can start then using affirmations to kind of build this confidence. But one of the biggest things when it comes to affirmations is don't just throw up something in the air to say, I'm worthy. Because if you don't give your brain reasoning, it's going to look for it. And it's going to reference to any experience where you either felt worthy or unworthy. And it's going to either 10 to 1 not support that belief and be like, oh no, you're actually not worthy. Because remember, that time when you doubted yourself. Remember that time when that client didn't sign the deal with you. Like,
And how many years have we potentially trained ourselves in that belief as well, that we're not? So of course there's some resistance. You're like, I've been telling myself for so long, you're not good enough, you're not good enough. And you're like, today I'm good enough. And you're like, well, it didn't work, Kylie, it didn't feel right. You're like, well, of course you've been doing this for 20 years.
So give your brain reasoning. Like the moment you want to build your confidence, you say, okay, look, I am good at what I do because, and give yourself a legit reason. Like write down all your skills, write down all your experiences that you have. What's, if you've done any degrees or certifications or anything, like what value do you provide as a coach
presenting
or
your
as a
case
business?
to yourself.
Exactly. Like we need to do these things. I mean, we live in a very overwhelming world. And it's just bringing yourself back to yourself.
And we live in a world, I'm so sorry, I'm so excited, but we also live in a world, I believe, especially, at least for my generation, that we were so conditioned to believe that confidence was conceit, right? That we were supposed to be, like, for you to say, like, I'm so great at this, or, you know what, I really can help people. There was this like, oh, well, you're arrogant, you're full of yourself. And especially in school, I feel like those school years are so detrimental. Those school years, you're like, oh, look at her, she just thinks she's all great. And you're like, well, maybe she does. And what is wrong with that? We were so ingrained and learned that was like such a negative personality trait. So I think there's so much resistance, even if we've always felt we were great, that we're not even allowed to say it. There's something wrong with saying that.
Exactly.
I just had trouble with that.
And then the next step of the equation is action. So what can I do today that's going to bring me closer to my goal? And this is where the overwhelming, emotions come up, where you're like, okay, well, Kylie, look, I need to sign a client. So there's this and this and this and this and this I need to do. Okay, yes, but doing everything at once isn't going to make you a master. Write down 3 things at the most. Like, and this is coming from someone where I was the master of creating to-do lists, because somehow it made me feel productive to see that I have like a whole diary page full of things that I need to do. But I never got to all of them because I felt so overwhelmed that I couldn't just focus on one thing I had to do. And I ended up doing nothing, so I wasn't productive at all. So I have a rule for myself. I write down my focus for at least the next 10 days of the month. So you'll have like 30 slots then, 30 slots into me, 3 slots of like, what am I going to focus on, like basically also then this week or in the next 10 days. And every day I'm going to do 3 things. I'm going to do 3 things well.
Yes.
That's going to help bring me closer to my goal. Yes. Because time also, that's a big thing with manifestation. Time is not a construct. We've created time as a construct. So a lot of times with manifesting, we think, okay, like the challenge I gave you was a 5-day challenge. And you will think, okay, well, let's say if you're doing a 5-day manifesting challenge and you're like, okay, I want to attract new clients into my business. And we think like life has to work, the universe has to work according to our time. But there is no construct like time in the universe. I did a 5-day challenge to attract more clients into my life. But within those 5 days, what actually happened is the universe was like, right, you want to attract clients into life, but what you actually need is to gain more clarity and purpose into the direction you want to go with your business. Right. Because right now, you're not completely like clear on who you are as a coach.
Right. So it started the path. So it actually is it's answering the call, if you will, of like starting this to get clients. It just didn't present itself perhaps in the construct that you expected it to, but it's actually working in that manner. It is going there. It's exactly what you're creating.
Exactly. And the moment I went through that week and I gained clarity and purpose, and I was like, right, this is actually what I want to do. This is what I want to provide to people. The week after that, I signed 2 new clients.
Yeah.
So that is the big thing, is letting go of the how when it comes to manifesting. Like a lot of times we think, this is how I need to get more money, or this is how I need to sign new clients. We have a very like limited resource as to how we need to actually create things in our reality.
We only know what we know. We don't know what we don't know, right? We don't know all the other options.
Exactly. So just focus on the what I'm doing and why am I doing this, and it will bring everything into reality. And that's where the faith also comes in. I mean, there's a beautiful book that people can also buy from Catherine Sinkina. So she's basically a manifestation expert, but she focuses on money, and it's the 21-day I think it's called Money Bay Challenge. So it's manifesting at least $1,000 into your life. And I mean, it is crazy doing this challenge. I went past a day where I was like, okay, great, I'm going to focus on manifesting $1,000 in my life. And in one day, I literally manifested 5,300 into my life.
That's amazing.
And it just came, it was just basically one of my old clients she went through a health issue. So she was like, can I please pay you once I've, sorted out all my medical bills? And I'm like, I completely understand, life happens.
Mm-hmm.
And she randomly, I mean, this is like 6 months ago. And I left it because I knew she'll, if it's meant to be, it'll come back. And she literally messages me on the day and it's like, I need to pay you. And all these random, like, all these random things just started happening where I started, more money came into my life that day. And it's literally letting go of the how and just focusing on what and why.
Yeah. And shifting the focus, knowing and making the conscious choice, and that's a huge part of like what I always talk about with my design life is that it's too often we fall into mediocrity because we're not a conscious participant in where we want our life to go. We go, well, this is where I am. This is my circumstances, and that's just the way it is. And someday, or if I win the lottery and some external circumstance changes it for me, then it will be different. And the truth is that we have to actually make those decisions. We have to look, and you don't just say, well, I'm no longer going to be in this situation. Yeah, I get it. If you're seeing your life and you're like, oh, I can't just say this is not how it's going to work. But if you don't know what you want instead, how can you ever change it to anything, right? And that's such a huge part of manifestation is that powerful, simple first step of being clear at what you want. And there, I'm sure a lot of us, we have very lofty, huge dreams and ideas. And that's where we kind of get into a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about and I guide. But when we go and break it down to this manifestation, what Kylie's really giving you guys is like the beginner step of like, let's just look at what can we use this week? Maybe it does seem overwhelming to be like, well, my situation's so deep and ingrained, there's so much going on. Like, you're right. You're probably not going to manifest a complete overhaul those 5 days. But if you start and go, what's one thing this week that I would like to focus on being different or changing or bringing into my life? We've now started this baby step, which becomes really a skill. It becomes a skill set, because if we're doing this every week, like Kylie just said, like imagine every week you're teaching your brain, like, so what's our goal this week? What's our focus this week? What do we want change? And now we can even start to get excited. Like, man, this has been going good. I'm like kind of always looking at what can be instead of what is, right? I'm clear because now I've had to been asked, I had to answer the question, what do I really want this to look like specifically, not generally? I want a better relationship. What does better mean? I want to lose weight. How much weight? What weight? Where? How? Like, these are things we get specific about. So if we don't have this clarity, if we don't start being an active participant of seeing what that is and knowing where we're headed, like, then of course you're not going to see change. Of course you're not going to see, like, manifesting doesn't work. We don't do that in our car. We don't go, well, I want to go to, I don't know, I'm from California, like New York. You're like, okay, what does that count when you cross the state line? Does it count when you're on the other side? Like, where are you going? Like, it's so, you need to be specific, guys. Like, we need to really go, what exactly is it that I want? What does that life look like? And like you said earlier, Kylie, you were like, well, if I want to be the CEO, I want to this, well, what exactly does that mean? What does that person think? What do they do? What does their day look like when that's who they are? And you start to become familiar and embody that. It's in your brain. You're like, oh, am I doing this that the CEO would do? They probably wouldn't do this. And you shift that, you go to manifest, the person you want to become. So that's my soapbox. I think it's so important for us to remember to bring that back, that's a real core principle why I show up here every week, is that the life that I live wasn't by accident. It's because I made a conscious choice. This is what I wanted. And then I worked towards it. So,
Exactly.
Those who watch me travel and stuff, it's not, I didn't get lucky in most areas of my life. I made a conscious choice that was my goal. And now the things that I choose to do fulfill that because of the clear idea, a vision of what I want and what I manifested through that. So
I love that. And one thing that you said, I just want to touch up I think you and I can talk about this for hours.
I know, I think so.
Is that the biggest thing as well that manifesting taught me is focus on your success, focus on what can I do to go closer to my goal, to achieve my success, instead of focusing on failure. What can I do to avoid failing? Because then you end up doing nothing at all. You end up doing the actions that avoid you from failing instead of doing the actions that take you closer to success. So a really good example I can give is, for example, let's give a weight loss goal. I can be like, okay, what would be an action for me to avoid? Okay, not eating chocolate, not eating, consuming sugar. So the whole time I'm going to avoid doing that. But okay, what's going to bring me closer to my goal is actually going to the gym, eating wholesome food. It gives you a whole different dynamic change, because you could end up like not exercising at all, not actually eating the right foods, but you end up avoiding just eating sugar. And you think that's going to bring you closer to your goal.
Or that's all you're thinking about. Don't eat chocolate, don't eat chocolate, don't eat chocolate. So all you're thinking about is chocolate. That seems counterintuitive. I love that. No, so that's so important, guys. So manifestation, start with what the first step she said is being clear, what is it that you really want? What is it? And look at the success, not of what you're trying to avoid. Because again, now you're training your brain to look for the dangers to avoid, as opposed to looking at the steps to actually get closer to what you want. And then follow each day. They're out there on my Instagram, the My Design Life Show. Check it out. You can see step by step what we shared. Follow Kylie at MFK Official. You'll see there's a bunch of underscores. We'll share it in a link or something in here up on the screen so you can find her. But honestly, just put MFK Official. You'll see her beautiful face there. You'll know it's her. There's a couple of other like similar codes, but profiles, but you'll see that it's her. So get on there. She offers valuable stuff all the time. I'm so thankful. I'm so excited that we worked together on this project, that I went to go through the confidence thing, guys. I can't tell you again how powerful that was. And it's Thursday, so I have one more day of my manifesting. I am really excited to see what comes out tomorrow, because I am believing that there is going to be something, and I'm going to have something exciting to report. So stay tuned for that. And anything else you have going on you want to share, Kylie? Anything?
Just at the moment, like everyone will probably see on my Instagram that my confidence challenge has been going strong. We're in our second week now, which is incredible. So definitely that's something you'll be interested in. I'll be hosting another cohort next year. It's going to be a yearly thing. Ooh. And then I currently have slots open for my one-on-one coaching. So I'm a business and mindset coach. So I focus on basically reprogramming your mindset. So we're going to build your confidence, but then also provide you with valuable business strategy so that you can also just scale your business, make more impact, and make more money.
Yeah, it's all connected. It's all connected.
It's all connected.
Yeah. So same with the website guide, MFK Official. Look, it's pretty exclusive. If she's only doing this once a year, I highly suggest you go to that website, you get on her mailing list, you know what's going on, so you can find out when it opens again. And in the meantime, you'll get the tips and the value and all this stuff. Like I said, I got this in 5 days. I just life-changing experience of 5 days. So if you get something from her for a year, my goodness, like you're going to be a superhuman next year. So get it together. Okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much, Kylie, for being here. It's always awesome. And I'm sure we'll find excuses to bring you back.
Oh, no, I'd love to.
All right. We'll see ya.
Bye.